He just loved life so much and loved the country. And he was just going to do everything that he could to do his part for the war effort. I just think he left that type of a legacy for us and the rest of the country.
In June 1944, Jack Cooper was a spirited member of Air Squadron 15, a U.S. Navy unit stationed on the USS Essex in the Pacific Fleet. When the Elkhart, Indiana native enlisted in 1942, he left behind his family and his fiancée Helen, whom he affectionately called Big Eyes. The Essex stalked the battle-torn waters near the Bonin Islands. Squadron 15's assignment, to soften up the Japanese air fortress at Iwo Jima with aerial assaults.
They were making a run down the airfield. And the artillery there hit the aircraft and caused some damage, but even though they were damaged to some extent, they continued their bombing and strafing runs, even though they were crippled. They kept making their runs until the aircraft just conked out completely and they glided off into the ocean.
Squadron Commander W.G. Lambert reported that 3 men climbed aboard a life raft. Pilot Ted Sterling, Ordnance Man Murphy Git Gittleson, and radio gunnery man Jack Cooper. But high seas and fierce fighting prevented a rescue attempt by U.S. naval forces.
They was in hopes that they would maybe make land someplace, and even though it was Japanese-held territory at the time, they thought, well, they might be safe and get into some land, but that never happened.
Overhead, as the skies roared with the sounds of Japanese Nell warbirds, the 3 U.S. Navy airmen drifted helplessly away from shore, the tide sweeping them out to sea.
You've got to understand that a small rubber life raft floating around in the Pacific Ocean is like a needle in a haystack, and it's almost impossible to find them or to see them.
2 weeks passed, and the scorching summer sun was unrelenting. As he grew weaker, Jack Cooper realized that these were perhaps his final days.
He decided that he'd better start keeping some kind of a journal or a diary. And the only thing that he could find was his billfold. And in his survival kit that he had, there was also some safety pins. So he decided that he would take a safety pin and start scratching information on the leaves of his billfold.
July 6th, a piece of shrapnel and compass case hit our plane. I love Mom, Dad, and all. Wish I could eat some of her cooking. Tell Helen I found God. Be happy, love. July 8th, week. Getting Sterling nearly gone. Can't catch fish. No rain. Love to Big Eyes.
For several desperate days, pilot Ted Sterling drank from the lethal salt waters of the Pacific until it drove him mad.
July 9th. Sterling jumped into water this morning. Gittleson died last night. Headed west. Weak.
In the blazing heat, with no land in sight, Jack Cooper was now alone. 3 days later, more calamity struck.
July 12th. Jap Nell saw me, strafed, hit me in both legs. Bandaged them, drifting east. July 13th. very weak from loss of blood, no land in sight, no food since the 4th, 6 ounces of water left.
When you're out on the raft after being out there for several weeks and losing your crewmates, and then have the Japanese come down and try to kill you, try to shoot you, and you're kind of at everybody's mercy on a small raft with hardly any provisions. And it was had to have been a very, very tough time for anybody.
July 14th, very weak. Won't last over today. Plenty of fish, but can't sit up. If this is my last day, tell my big eyes to be happy with someone else. I've always loved her. Same for you, Mom, and Dad, and all. God bless you all.
Although he was getting very weak from loss of blood and having had very, very little food or hardly any water, he still woke up and said, inscribed on his diary on his wallet as "Surprise, I'm still alive." And that was the last entry that he made.
Jack made his final diary entry on July 15, 1944, 1 month to the day of his ill-fated mission. He died just 4 days before an American submarine, the USS Tenosa, surfaced during an undersea battle and discovered the rubber raft and its sole lifeless passenger.
One of the nice things, nice compliments that was paid to him was by the commander of the submarine that picked him up, because he commented the fact that he was proud to call Jack a member of his fighting fraternity. Proud to call him an officer and a gentleman. I think it says a lot.